And we are back for another edition of the Astro Weather. So, if you are just awakening, congratulations. You have another day of being horizontal on this plane, and we all wish and hope and support you in making the most of it as you can in this wonderful world that we now find ourselves in. And if you've been up for a while, we hope the day's been good and that you are uh, learning, growing, reading, and having a good laugh along the way. So the background today is from New Zealand. So any of you Kiwis down there, you might recognize this sunrise. It's an island off the coast of New Zealand, and I just thought it looked pretty spectacular. So I decided to use it as the backdrop today. Anyway, how is everyone? We have a lot to cover today. Let's see if I get the charts loaded up here. If you're new, my name is Robert Phoenix, and this is the Astro Weather. It takes place on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, sometimes a smattering of Friday every now and then. And I suppose Sunday night is an extended version of the Astro Weather. So if you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It's a vital part of this process, especially if you are a longtime subscriber. You will get unsubscribed at some point. It's a very interesting game that the lords of YouTube play with us. You get to use the service, you get to flex with their technology, but they get to essentially tell you who gets to watch your show and who gets to be alerted to when said show is about to go. So we play the game, and hit that like, hit that subscribe. And also, if you feel like it, there's a link to buy yours truly a cup of coffee. I got about 2 sips left, and this was a good one today. This was a good cup of coffee today. So that's in the link. This channel has been demonetized since the 2010s. I take pride in that in a weird sort of way. And what else? What else? Oh, we have our locals group, which you can support the show and get ready to put some new local stuff up today. So how about that? All right, let's see who we have here. My man, DJ MC, what's going on, brother Mike? Mary Grether, hello, Mary. A beautiful one. Saying hello to all the beautiful people. All the beautiful people in the house. All the beautiful people out there. Each and every one of you in your own way. Deborah Wheeler, please ask Robert to finish his prediction. Friday's show. Oh, I think California's got a massive earthquake, but it's not for a while. It's not for a while. It's not till Pluto hits the Aquarian South Node in California. You know, it's interesting. California's got that North Node in Leo, and of course, that's Leo represents actors and acting and stars, right? So it's really interesting that the state that has the North Node in Leo would obviously be the home of a lot of Leonine presences, including our very own David Palmer, aka the Leo King. So the South Node in California's chart is at 9 Aquarius. So Pluto tends to move very slowly. So you have plenty of time to get your things in order. That's my prediction. Pluto, South Node, Aquarius, Cube San Andreas with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Moonsprout, what's happening? Jackie Delario, the Empress of South Jersey, is here. The Bisou, top of the day, lucky number 9. Isn't it? what was that song by Lena Lovitch? Lucky Number One. I love Lena Lovitch. I thought she was great. Green-eyed crow. Green-eyed crow. Speaking of green eyes, there she is, the lovely and talented one. Dave Sullivan. Greetings, Dave. Hey, Robert Phoenix is here. Hi, Robert Phoenix. Tom Jordan. What's going on, brother Tom? We're on the other side of the house. Road Trip 1981. Salutations right back. Athena. Grand rising to you. Jay Schaefer. Greetings. Back to you. Hey, if you're looking for world-class Basenji, that's your gal right there. Jay Schaefer. Jeff Roseanne. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. And we got Queen Lisa, Florida, in the house. Greetings, Queen Lisa. John Lyons. Hello, 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 John. There she is. Susie G, getting her wing back. Getting her wing back in action. Getting ready to fly. Julia Payne. So, Julia, there you go. There's a New Zealand sunrise for you. Does that look a little familiar by any chance? What a week. You got a cold. So, Liddy Lou, you got what's going on around. You got what's going around. I got it. Tom got it. But you know who didn't get it? Peachy did not get it. She has remained cold-free the entire time. Misbehaving too. What's going on? What's happening? PB's here. Let's see. Interstellar Cosmic Connection. Formerly, Trisha just being me. That's okay. You can be anything you want. And I like the Interstellar Cosmic Conversations. The ISCC. Rainbows and butterflies. The man Steve. What's going on, brother Steve? Good to see you. Janine's in the house. Harry Bowie. Hey. Sharon Lewis. Greetings. Sandra Wells. What's going on, cuz? We got to laugh at the world, and we will. We always do. Let's see. Laura E. Exterior painting for days. Painting my friend's house. Black. Looks amazing. You know, sometimes a black house can look really cool. Sometimes black houses can look really cool. I'd agree with that. There is my girl, Orlando, Southwest Virginia, the queen of a cup of coffee with Scream. She's here. Glemma Speck. Hello, Glemma. Nora Rashid, the queen of speed, checking in. TDF, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Yes, indeed. Barbara Boots. Barbara Boots is here. Will my short sports show be back in the fall with Al? Well, that depends on Al. If Al's into it, then we'll be back. I'm sure I could just do a sports show myself. How many people would be interested in that? I think we're going to do an Astro Dads next Monday. We're going to cut the next Astro Dads, so that'll be something to look forward to. Me and Ferris, Rebel for the Truth, right on. Make a new YouTube. I don't know if I want to make a new YouTube or make a new YouTube in terms of the YouTube, like as an entity. Yeah, I'd agree with that. You know, I still think that Rumble is having a challenge with a lot of different things. The night of the election, we wanted to run our simulcast on Rumble, and it was completely down, and so was locals. They were overburdened. So even the great Rumble has its challenges. Annie Day, what's happening, Annie Day? Carly's here. Lisa Ann White is here. I haven't been getting notifications, but another time, so they can't. So that's how it goes. See, as long as I'm consistent, you know where to go. Just bookmark this channel, and we'll be here. Looking forward to the Cancer Astro Dads. Me too. Ferris has a Cancer daughter, so we'll have some, I think, interesting insight to add into that. My son is a Cancer rising. Let's see who else we have. Natty Cups, Extremely hot in Northern California. You got to go find yourself one of those nice rivers. You got to go find yourself one of those nice rivers in Northern California. Let's see. Deborah Wheeler, thank you for the answer. You're always a great listener. Deborah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Celeste Loveheart. Here's my man, Joe Litke, coming in with hit the likes. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. I also love Lena Lovitch. Rarely hear anyone mention her. Oh, look at that. We got a Lena Lovitch connection. Lena Lovitch was great. You know, she was obsessed with Salvador Dali and actually went to Spain to track him down and try to learn from the surrealist master at the end of his life. I think my favorite Lena Lovitch song is New Toy. All right, who else we have? Zerlith, the immortal. The shred of God is with us. Good to see you, Steve. Exciting things going on. Always. Always. Scrubbies with the name check. Love it. Good to see you, Tamara. My man, Curtis Moonflower. Jill Biden on Vogue August cover. She wearing the curtains again. Panama swore in a new president. Isn't that a weird phrase, to swear in a new president? It's like when you swear, you know, people will often accuse you of using a curse word, right? So it's a strange phrase to swear in a president, like, you know, congratulations, you motherfucker. You're now the fucking president. Good fucking luck. There you go. Let's see. Who else do we have here? The Nicholas Graham. What's happening, Nicholas? L. Foxworth. Checking in from South Carolina, where the only 3 Republican female senators got the boot. I was reading about that. Here she is, Pedrita Pebbles, who's going to be at our event spinning. DJ Pebblitas. Not only is she a world-class model, she's a world-class DJ. Too much talent in one person, clearly, but we'll take it. Let's see. Interstellar's been YouTube for years. Okay, I don't know why. I am Patricia Barrington. Well, we'll take you any way you show up. Right now, you're ISCC, which I kind of like. Julian Hartwell. What's going on, Julian? I haven't listened to your music. Lovely music. Very interesting. I have to spend a little more time with it. Maybe we'll play a track on here these days. Rumble doesn't have the megabucks behind it yet. That's true, but it's still better than Mike Adams. Just nothing against Mike Adams. I like Mike Adams. Brighteon just don't know the numbers. You teach people. You should do classes online, show with people. Well, I used to do a lot of. So I have some people that I've taught who have become fairly well-known astrologers. Probably the most notable is Heather Eland, who, if you are following astrology, no doubt you've come across Astrology with Heather. Heather was a student of mine, and she was living in Austin, and I did the download dump with Heather. I also have a course that's available if you're interested. And if you watch enough of the Sunday night show, you'll learn a few things. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Nunya Beeswax. Nunya Beeswax. On vacation in Kansas City. Going to Branson. Right on. Branson, Missouri. Have a sarsaparilla on me. Let's see. Sweet Woodruff. Checking in from Plano. What's happening? Robert Sharp from Woolsack, Washington. Greetings, Robert. Welcome. Sally Hiller, Saturn, first house, 14 Virgo, square Sagittarius moon at 17, in the fourth, square sun in Pisces in the 7th, 19th, been on an awful year and not done. Well, Sally, we're here for you. All those squares and oppositions, all they do is make you stronger. That's all they do. That's all they do. You'll be the who's really strong these days. It's really weird. There used to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, whatever. Right? Who do we have now? David Goggins. That guy's like that's a trip. All right, let's just keep going. Carol Amore. Carol Amore. Yes, I know, being sworn in. I understand that. But the whole idea of swearing in and sworn, I'm just fucking around. I'm fucking around, Lynn. You got to fuck around sometimes. We're being polled. It's not voting. I agree with that. Zelensky and Jill Dragney spoofing the August vote. Oh, I like that too. I'd love to see that. Claire, hi Claire. We can't start until Claire shows up. We cannot start until Claire's arrived. And Claire's here, so we can begin. That's how it works. All right. Oh, Joan W. Actually, listen, on my 58th birthday today. Well, Joan W., you know what that means. Joan W. gets a birthday song. Oh, James Turk Art. Checking in from Brüssel, East Germany. Beautiful, man. Good to see you. Beach Barn, 10 days alcohol-free on the narrow path. God bless you. We support you. We support you. And this year, I want to stay for the barbecue, meet Jasper and Peachy. Well, you'll get to meet one of them. Peachy is, how do we say, Peachy, how do we describe you? Peachy is ghost-like. You're ghost-like. Yes, you are. Peachy doesn't really warm up to people that easily, except for me, for some reason. All right, let's find Joan W. birthday song. Now, I know a lot of you don't like the birthday song that I usually play, so I'll try. Hey. So I'm going to try to find a different birthday song. Since some of you do not like Hang Guy. So let's see what we got here for Joan W. Then we get into everything. Let's see. What do we got? We need something that we've never done before. Kind of fun. But not too weird. We got Birthday Swing. I think we've done that. We've done the Monkeys, the Nursery Rhymes. Let's see, what's Tough Crowd? Sounds like a rap thing. Don McLean has a birthday song, and I would play it, except I would get hit with copyright infringement, and that would be unfortunate. Orangutan Birthday, Happy Birthday rock version. Okay, this is what you get. You get the Happy Birthday rock version, Joan. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy this day. So here we go. This goes out to Joan W. and shredding on her solar return. So here we go. I've never heard this before. I can't take any responsibility for it. Let's let it rip. That was actually really good. I enjoyed that. So there you go. There you go, Joan. Getting your birthday off to a rocking start. All right, let's get into the weather. Let's get into the weather. Okay. All right. Okay, let's track where we are with the moon. And we are just about ready to slip out of Taurus. So let's see, what do we got there? 29:31. So by this afternoon, I think we go through a bit of a void course period. We don't always talk about void of course on this show, but there's a period where the moon actually is sort of between signs, right? And it's almost like a Mercury retrograde. And there are a lot of people who just don't do anything during moon void course periods. And I can understand that. I've actually experienced that in my life a couple times where I've tried to do something during a void of course and it just didn't work. Right. So void of course, and it depends. It's not always the same amount of time. Uh, Sometimes the moon can be void of course for 3 hours. Sometimes it can be void of course for an hour. It depends. Um, so to be on the safe side, we'll have the moon in Gemini by the end of the working day today. Right. So we're kind of at that 29th degree. There's nothing really left in that moon. So it's a bit of a lazy moon, the moon in Gemini, even though it is conjunct Uranus, which does give it a bit more of an unusual pep, right? So I think it's one of those days where you probably are looking for the second and third cup of coffee. That's my sense, right? Because there's no juice left in the moon, but Uranus is there, and you're tapping your adrenals. Um, Now, when the moon moves into Gemini later today, its first stop is going to be trining Pluto, and so it's going to be kind of approaching Jupiter and trining Pluto. And if you have a backlog of emotion and information, it clearly will come out during the next 24-hour cycle. So where are we? The second, we have the 4th of July. So we'll have a Gemini moon on the 4th of July. It'll be towards the end of the Gemini moon. And that tends to be, quite social. Although I think the big celebration of the 4th of July moon will actually come this weekend, which is why we're having our barbecue here in Kerrville on Saturday versus on Wednesday. Well, sort of. But yeah, so I like where the moon is over the next 48 hours. It's social, it's local, it's family, it's extended family, it's conjunct Jupiter, and try to get a word in edgewise over the course of the next 48 hours. Once we move out of the moon in Taurus, but it'll be good. Lots of activity, lots of buzz, lots of, and I think lots of varying opinions. Now, the only challenge we're going to get here is about, let's see, what's today? Tuesday. So tomorrow we may get a bit of a challenge on Wednesday/Thursday, where that moon comes in and squares off against Saturn. And Moon Saturn squares aren't always fun, right? They aren't always fun. The downside of a Moon Saturn square is if you are at a party, you actually may feel somewhat alone and depressed. I'm just giving you a bit of a heads up. But have no fear. Have no fear, because the moon is also at that time going to be in a nice little sextile there with the true node in Aries. So that means that you have dominion over your emotions and You can stay, you can go, you can do whatever you want, right? I also feel like even though the moon is in Gemini and not quite Cancer, which I feel is like it's a very nostalgic sign. Cancer is very nostalgic. I think we're going to have some of that with the moon Saturn square coming in on the 4th of July. So I do think that there is a nice little buzz coming in, but there's also a bit of a lament with that moon Saturn square. And then as we move really out of this Gemini phase of the moon, it's going to square Neptune. And not a an angle or moon phase that I particularly like, to be honest with you, because there's not a lot of honesty with a moon Neptune square. So I don't know where that puts people in so-called positions of power in Washington D.C. Seems like they never sleep, right? This is the one thing that bugs me about the president of the United States. I don't know when it became in vogue for the president of the United States to be in the fucking news every day. That we have to know every little thing that the president has done or where he is or who he's meeting with. And I think it's completely intentional. It's all about the mind control and the brainwashing of the people. It's kind of like I don't need to hear like what the fuck the president is doing every day, because most of what the president is doing every day is bullshit anyway. Right? Just go about and do your job like everybody else and pop up every now and then, just so that we know that you're alive and you're representing us. This whole idea of president, and it's it's not just the president. It's this whole idea of government, nonstop politics, nonstop 24 fucking 7. Right? It's too much. It's too much. Like we don't need that much. And people have become addicted to it. News, the CNNs and the Foxes, the MSNBCs make their fortune off of this fabricated drama of politics and the president. And I do think that with this moon Neptune square and coming in on the 4th of July, there is a bit of a nostalgic funk that things aren't the way they used to be, and they never will be again. It's just the way it is, right? You try not to drink your way out of it with that moon Neptune square. I think the next 48 hours are going to be, from the lunar perspective, they'll be very interesting, and not necessarily, I would say, entirely. It won't be entirely negative. There's some positivity. I love that moon Jupiter conjunction, right? Which we'll start to experience tonight and tomorrow. So there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of shopping, there's a lot of things going on going into the 4th, right? And then we get that moon Saturn square. Don't let certain people be a buzzkill at the party. If you're having to get together, don't let them be a buzzkill, right? If somebody is feeling gloomy or dour or depressed, let them have their moment, right? Just let them have their moment. But I would avoid political talk over the 4th of July, because that moon Saturn square, especially with Gemini, like, just can't stop, right? It just can't stop. And the other thing, when I think of Saturn, I think of authority, and I think of the Hierophant, and I think of judges, and I think of the Supreme Court. And now they've decided that they want to take on the Supreme Court. Again, I haven't been here a century, but I've been over here well over half a century. So I've never seen anything like this before. I've never seen anything like this, with trying to impeach the Supreme Court And then we'll talk more about Biden over on 15, but running him out there and running down the Supreme Court. This is terrible for the country. This is terrible for the country. Because if we don't, and we all know that a lot of times these decisions aren't always fair, right? They're not always fair. We've seen them. Usually when we want them to go a certain way, John Roberts is voting the other way, right? So we know that they're not always fair, but they're still the fucking Supreme Court. And when a political entity takes on the Supreme Court and not only challenges their decisions, but also goes as far as to impeach them, like Ocasio-Cortez apparently has done, it's not good for the country. Period. End of story. But I don't care how you feel about the Supreme Court and the law or any of that, right? I have my own feelings. I'm not a big government person in general, but I don't think it's a good look. Like, you ever see any of these other countries sue their Supreme Courts? I guess in Latin America, they just shoot them, which is a whole different strategy, probably more honest. So to me, that's that Moon Saturn square, right? It's like they just can't go. Like, if it was a decision that heavily favored and in this case, immunity with Trump is what we're talking about. If it was a decision that heavily favored the quote unquote Democrats, do you think that the Republicans would try to impeach the Supreme Court? No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. And will so what's going to happen here, and this is what Ketanji Brown is, just another useful idiot. What she basically said is, get ready for more lawsuits against the Supreme Court. So we are going to see lawfare practiced against the Supreme Court, the one institution that theoretically has the final say, theoretically, is now under attack. So this is the Moon Neptune square as we move into the 4th of July holiday and beyond. Right, it is a challenge, and Gemini plays the devil's advocate, so it's challenging the authority of the court. But Gemini is a young energy; it's not always very seasoned or mature, right? So, anyway, that's big picture stuff. That's big picture stuff for you with the Moon square Saturn. And again, we're not there yet. We're just kind of getting ready for the 4th of July, right? I would avoid political talk at any gathering unless you're all on the same team. If you're on the same team, let all hang out. But if you're not, that Moon Saturn square is like the turd in the punch bowl, right? And you don't want to necessarily censor people, but there are ways of redirecting conversation. Now, yesterday, for whatever reason, I was in a bit of a funk. I was a little depressed yesterday, and I rarely get depressed. But that's another byproduct of this Moon Saturn square. Again, we're talking about 2 days out, that there can be a general malaise, right? But I do like the fact that we're going to eventually have that moon cycle into Cancer. It will be balsamic. And I think that's part of the issue here, right, is this balsamic phase in Gemini. And a lot of times with Gemini, we like to distract ourselves and play games and solve puzzles and riddles and all those things. And it kind of feels like the distractions are, sort of running out a little bit. They're running out, the things that we keep our minds occupied with so that we don't, fall into the whirlpool of utter desperation. Right. So, but it's okay. Right. It's okay. And even when we get to the point, and we'll have a conversation about this, when that moon moves into that ball, it's the toughest place for the moon, the balsamic moon. I used to be friends with Molly Hall over at about.com, and she did their astrology. And Molly Hall and I were pretty close, and we would talk and send emails back and forth. And she was on my show a few times, and we would talk about this balsamic moon in Cancer and just how difficult it is to have a moon in that placement. And the challenge with that moon is all about letting go. We know that Cancer doesn't let go. I mean, classically, it wants to hang on to whatever memories, family, traditions, relationships. So that balsamic moon in Cancer is one of the tough ones. And we're coming off of that T square, I'm sorry, that square with Saturn. But it's good. And once we have the new moon coming through in Cancer, so I really do. I don't often go in this direction, right? But I do feel, and again, I'm moving ahead a little bit, but I do feel that if you are sad or you have some degree of grief or for whatever kind of loss, right? For whatever kind of loss, I think it's okay, right? I think it's okay to let it go. Of course, it's okay, Lulu. You need my fucking permission. But when we get into this phase, and especially because of where we are now, right, with Venus and the Sun in Cancer, and just being able to just let go of the things that we've held dear in a lot of ways, and it can be very, very healing, and sets us off on a new emotional setting, new emotional foot. Mercury's made that shift into Leo, so we have Mercury in Leo, and we're not quite there opposing Pluto exactly, but we're pretty darn close, right? And this is the dramatic pronouncement, the pronouncement that's going to try to get everybody's attention, and ultimately with the square with Chiron, what are we really looking at here? Well, the Emperor has no clothes. So as far as you go, right, with the Mercury-Pluto opposition, just make sure that what you say you feel really sure about, that you're clear about it. Because as I said on Sunday night, it's one of those oppositions where you can't undo what you say. You can't undo it. So make sure that you know what the fuck you're talking about. And Mercury's in its detriment in Leo. So we got basically a 30-degree period of Mercury in detriment in Leo, which is basically people spouting off and talking shit and probably bragging on themselves way too much, but also, looking for a good time and to be avuncular and to tell stories and to have colorful language. And we've lost touch with colorful language. And what I mean by that is not colorful language in the world of like cuss words or swearing in or swearing or things like that, but the use of language, which is colorful and evocative. We've lost touch with that in a lot of ways. And Mercury and Leo can be fun. Have fun with language. Tell jokes. Tell funny stories. Don't be afraid to kind of go there, right? Even if Mercury's in its detriment, don't be afraid to go there. Have a laugh, And even if you're the only one laughing, who cares? It doesn't matter. Sun trine Saturn, Venus trine Saturn. It's a good time to strengthen bonds now. These are the Bondo transits, right? And the closer that the sun moves in trine, we talked a lot. I talked about this for about 45 minutes on Sunday night, so I'm not going to completely repeat this. But there is a lot of soul to mine over the next week, 10 days. Lots of soul to mine, and the interactions with people can be good, right? Can be good, can be powerful, can be bonding, right? That's one of the reasons why I'm having this barbecue here, and I'm inviting my neighbors who knows who will show up, right? Who knows who will show up? But that's the energy that I'm talking about, and I think it's really really good. You know, in a time where everything seems so mutable and so collapsible, we need to have a little bit of solidity beneath our feet, and you're the person that can contribute that in your life. A lot of the asteroids are retrograde. Pallas is retrograde. Ceres is retrograde. Vesta is not, and Juno is not. So why don't we save that discussion for tomorrow? We'll get into some of the asteroids tomorrow. All right, let's talk about our True Hemp Science story today. I want to be timely. I want to have a timely show today, not drag too much. So one of the things that you can do right now, I think this is up until the 4th of July, is over at truehempscience.com. My buddy Chris is offering a 20% discount on all things CBD. And all you got to do is type in July 4 and put July in capitals, and you're going to get 20% off of your entire CBD order. And I do think there's still that $150 or more get you free shipping. So if you ever wanted to dip your toe into the CBD pool, now is your time. 20% is a significant discount, especially when you're dealing with high quality, high end CBD products that Chris provides. So go over there to truehempscience.com, check everything out. If you want to make an appointment to talk to Chris or his assistant, who apparently is quite good, they'll give you the lowdown on their products and what would be suitable for you. And just drop that July 4 in there, and they'll give you 20% discount. Won't last forever, so take advantage of it while you can. All right, today's star of the day is Hermann Hesse, and he's a very interesting figure. He's a writer, German, of course, and he's most well known for Siddhartha and the Glass Bead Game, and a number of other what I would call very philosophical works. He also wrote Steppenwolf. He also wrote Beneath the Wheel, which is an entirely depressing book. But one of the things that Hesse is known for is that he is a philosophical novelist. And you don't always find that with novelists. And it's always an interesting fusion between fiction and philosophy, right? Rarely do the twain meet, because when you're in the realm of philosophy, it is pedagogical, right? There's something about philosophy which does not lend itself to fiction, right? And so it's always a very interesting blend when somebody is trying to get a message across through a fictional framework. And that's what Hesse is known for. And of course, he is a Sag rising, and he has Jupiter in Sag at 27 degrees conjunct the galactic center. So if you dig down into Hermann Hesse, what you'll find is a relationship with Carl Jung. And Hesse went through a period where he couldn't write anymore. I think that was like post Beneath the Wheel, and I think post Steppenwolf. I know it's post Beneath the Wheel. And he can't write. So he actually undergoes therapy with Carl Jung. And when you look at his chart, it's quite interesting, because therapy would be something that he would be open to. right? He has Mercury over here in the 7th house in Gemini, so that's that one-on-one approach. Also, Sun in the 7th house, and people that have Sun, and he was married a couple times, and of course, a lot of these people have really tragic marriages. Hesse not being the exception to the rule, right? But it's clear that the whole idea of partnering and having a sounding voice is kind of critical in a lot of ways. Now, we know that Jung is a Leo, right? And I think he's born he's born the 24th of July, which puts his sun right there on Hermann Hesse's vertex. Now, we don't talk about the vertex very often, but the vertex is known as the second ascendant. Excuse me. And it's always going to be between the 9th house and the 5th house, although there have been the very rare occasion where I have seen a vertex in the 4th. Very rare. Right? So the whole idea of the vertex is that you're going to understand another another, what's the word I'm looking for, fractal of your personality, but it will be through another person, right? That's the nature of the vertex. It's the other that allows you to find out more about who you are and go deeper. Excuse me. Let's look at this cough. So for Hesse, it's the 8th house, which is the realm of the subconscious, right? And whose sun is right on his vertex, none other but C.G. Jung, right? So this is a really interesting part of Hermann Hesse's story, is the relationship with Jung. And it's after he meets with Jung that he's able to write again. And he writes one of the great, excuse me, philosophical masterpieces of all time, and that's Siddhartha. So there's no Siddhartha without Carl Jung. There's no glass bead game, which is very synchronistic, by the way, without Carl Jung. And it's because Hermann Hesse is his patient for all intents and purposes. He has a very original mind. He actually has an aspect that is very similar to what I have in my chart. Not so I would say this anyway, but he's got Uranus and Leo in the 9th. He has it in the 8th house, but I have it in the 9th house. And he has a trining Jupiter, and so I have a trining Jupiter, but in the 9th house. Anyway, and that's usually an aspect where the person has the ability to really think outside the box and be able to do things like improvise or sort of have, the lightning bolt of inspiration, right? I remember as a kid being in school, and I'd have these moments where it would be like my IQ would just like shoot up like 20 points, and I would be able to like put something together in the class. And then afterwards, I'd be like a mere mortal again. It was fucking weird. And I'd always get frustrated that I couldn't replicate. I was like, well, why was I, this guy the other day in class, and now I'm just back to being regular me, right? And over time, I began to realize that it's this Uranus-Jupiter trine, because Uranus is inconstant, right? It hits when it hits. So he has some of this in his chart, but it's only going to be activated through the relationship with him and his subconscious, which is the 8th house, by the way. So a very interesting chart and relationship with Jung. And, he's creative, right? And this is one of the things that I find also interesting about his chart, is that because he has his true node in Pisces, that's where the fiction comes in. Right? That's where the creative part of Hermann Hesse comes in. You know, he's not coming from the South Node in Virgo, which would be much more didactic and analytical, right? That's not where he's coming from. He's not going to be a doctor of philosophy. No, he's going to explore the creative realm, and he has all of this Pisces in his chart. Uh, True Node at 2 Pisces, Mars 11 Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, Vesta, even the Moon in Pisces. So it all supports the more imaginative and what I would call fictional side of Hermann Hesse. Although there are times where I could see where he would go through writer's block with that Mercury and Gemini squaring Saturn and squaring the Moon, and he would get locked into another side of his brain. And what did Carl Jung do? I think he unlocked the other part of his brain, right? So Carl Jung got him right, got him straight. Pluto in the 5th house also tends to be powerfully creative, and he has sextile in Venus, which again is going to highlight relationships that will support, you know, this Plutonian kind of creative output. And then sextiling his moon in Pisces. A lot of sextile action going on with Pluto here. So there you go. Your True Hemp Science star of the day, the great novelist Hermann Hesse, who would not have been able to create his great works without the help of one Carl Gustav Jung. There you go. All right. Well, thanks for being here. And thanks for sharing your morning, your afternoon, your evening, wherever you are with us over here on the Astro Weather. And please join us at 15 Minutes of Flame. The link is in the description of the show. And don't forget, Darlena Watson is still taking students for her class on the linkage between astrology and human design. It's a 7-week course. And you're going to, by the time you get through that course, you will understand your particular design at a fundamental level. You will understand it fundamentally. You'll be able to have connections with that, with astrology, because you have a grounding in astrology. Not only that, but you get 2 personal readings. You get an incarnation of the cross reading, and you get a body graph reading. Those alone are worth the price of admission, trust me. But if you go over to darlenawatson.com and sign up, just type in Phoenix capital, get a $200 discount off your course. And it comes out to, I think, $499, 7 weeks, hands-on training, meetings with Darlena, starts on the 7th of July. So do not hesitate. If you have any interest in learning this stuff and also getting 2 personalized readings, here's your call to action. darlenawatson.com, type in that Phoenix, get cranking. All right, thanks for being here, everybody. Appreciate y'all, love y'all. Be good to each other. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you over on 15 minutes. Bye for now.